These are my 5 crucial parts to lifting that I find that are the most important in my personal opinion. And for those who haven't been to the gym before, who aren't really that knowledgeable of the gym, it's not just as simple as lifting weights. Now, initially you would hear that and think, oh, why isn't it as simple as picking up a dumbbell and curling it a couple times and calling it a day? The reason is because when you do that, you're creating a physiological response within your body with hormones and certain things that will create certain things over periods of time. Now, depending on your goal, you obviously want to periodize your training towards your goal. A weightlifter wouldn't want to train like an endurance athlete because that wouldn't correlate between their goals. They would want to do specifically hypertrophy training. And that's what I want to talk about, and some of the basic fundamentals that you have to get down. Like, you will not fucking look like this or this if you do not get these things down. Now, the most fundamental one out of them all is consistency. If you are not consistent with trying to get towards your goal, you will not get it. You can't leave a car on the driveway and leave it for ages, otherwise it will seize up and the brakes will fuck up and everything will get ruined. You have to maintain something in order for it to stay the same or progress over time. You cannot miss days, you cannot skip days, you cannot sleep in, you cannot miss meals. If you want to make progress, you have to make sacrifices in certain situations. Now,
this doesn't mean you have to be some lonely guy who sits alone and eats chicken and rice at their house while everyone else is out. Okay, I just do this because I personally don't like really going out. I like to stay at home, but that's just a personal preference.
You don't have to be like me. You can go out, you can party, you just have to be consistent and disciplined with how you apply yourself in certain situations. For example, your friends offer you to go out for a takeaway. However, you need to train tomorrow. Now, the high fats within the takeaway and the amount of sodium and unhealthiness within that takeaway may affect your training session tomorrow because you might not absorb the food you've eaten prior in that day. That's another factor I will go on to further on in this list. Now, you have to be disciplined within that thought and think, okay, do I want to make progress tomorrow, or do I want to, affect my session tomorrow? You have to be consistent with your choices. An inconsistent person will not have consistent result. That is not how it works. You can't just train and be inconsistent. You can't just be like, I'll go gym on Monday, the next week I'll go on Tuesday, then I'll skip Tuesday next week and not go at all, and then I'll go back to Monday. You have to specifically go on certain days. That's why you have a periodized training program. That's why it's important to do things on the same day. For example, I'll train on Monday push, legs on Tuesday, Wednesday pull, Friday upper hinge. Now you may be thinking what upper hinge is. I get asked this a lot on my lives on TikTok, but it's basically just upper body with a hinging exercise. So RDLs, for example. Now, initially you're going to hear me saying, okay, you have to make these massive sacrifices. You have to change all of this stuff in your normal routine. You don't. It's just you have to apply yourself in the situations it's needed. Like with diet, with sleep, with training. You have to apply yourself within them certain bits because it is important. One thing I will mention, which is actually pretty interesting. Now, this is not coming from me. This is from a source I heard from ages ago, but you can maintain a physique with one full body session a week if you are training hard enough within that session. Now, I'm not saying go fucking ballistic. I'm just saying go hard enough to create a stimulus, and that's all it really is, to be honest. That's if you want to maintain a physique. So even when you stop going to the gym, you stop going intense because you've reached the goal that you want to get, you still have to maintain it and you still have to be consistent with that. However, it doesn't need to be as intense as you was going prior. Now, I touched on this point a little bit in the first crucial part, but discipline. You have to be disciplined. You have to make the sacrifices, like I mentioned before. If you don't want to make the sacrifices, you most likely will not get the things that you want. Any good thing requires something to be taken away from. You can't get anything from nothing. You have to give something to get something. Nothing is for free. Now, I'm not asking you to give some David Goggins level motivation towards your gym progress. You just need to apply yourself. Now, a lot of fitness influencers and motivational speakers will tell you you need to apply yourself because you fucking do. You can't get something without putting in the effort. And I get passionate speaking about this because it's true. You can't just get given it. You can't just get gifted muscles. You have to earn them through putting in the effort. Even these enhanced people you see online, at some point they had to get there. Steroids are not a cheat code. There is no cheat code to this. Yes, some people gain muscles faster than others. That's still not a cheat code because they've still having to put in the effort to get that. No one's born muscly unless if you have a myostatin disease, which a very small percentage of the population actually has. Diet is the third part I want to talk about. A lot of people forget about diet and they think it's just all about training. It's not. You have to have a good diet. If you don't have a good diet, you're not going to have good progress. Unless if you have good genetics, which again, don't bank on that because you don't know until you've tried. So you don't have to eat healthy all the time. You can eat healthy 80% of the time, and 20% of the time you can eat whatever you want. Doesn't necessarily mean eat fucking so much calories to the point where you're eating more than what you would eat in 3 days when you're locking in. It just means treat yourself every now and then, and you don't need to be too strict because you're not a bodybuilder going into a bodybuilding show. It doesn't need to be as crazy chicken and rice, pasta and tuna, fucking gym bro meta. Like, basically, it doesn't need to be like that, okay? You can eat basic meals, basic home meals like lasagna, spaghetti, whatever the fuck most people eat, you know, like stuff like that. You can eat that and you don't have to eat the boring stuff. It's just don't go too crazy. And remember, macronutrients matter. The reason why they matter is because certain ones affect with certain ones absorptions. For example, if you have high carbs, low fat, moderate protein before a workout, you're most likely going to have good performance, because if you've spiked your blood sugar properly before a workout, your body is going to have more glucose around it to give itself energy, which will help with your pump. That's why some people take liquid glycerol. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why some people take that, because it's a very quick digesting carb which goes straight into your bloodstream and then allows you to have a lot of energy to use for your workout. It's also why when people eat sugary stuff like sweets, chocolate, pastries, they get fat, because that's a lot of carbs that quickly get released into your body, and if you're not using them for energy, your body will then store them as fat. So when you don't use carbs, your body just stores it. It's like having money. When you have an abundance of money, I don't know if abundance is the right word, I'll correct that on the screen, but like if you have a lot of money and you're not using it, it's going to get stored in a bank account. That bank account is your fat. The money is carbs. Carbs will get converted into fat to store for energy, to save for later, or to use in a life or death situation. It's a primal process that your body uses to keep you to stay alive, because fat is important because it regulates hormones, but too much of it can be bad. And you know what happens when you have too much fat. So that's why you don't go too crazy with takeaways. You don't go too crazy when you're eating something that's not considered healthy, or a little bit as a sweet treat, like, I don't know, some cookie dough or some shit. You don't go too crazy because you can easily affect your digestion, because that's a massive thing. For example, you have a thing called a glycemic index, which is basically the carbohydrates within your body and your blood sugar, basically. Just what foods spike your blood sugar. For example, a baked potato is very high on the glycemic index because it gets digested into blood sugar quickly, which means it will get transmitted into energy. I'm saying a lot of fucking sciencey words. Basically, some foods give you more energy than others, and they'll give it quicker than others. For example, pasta is a slow releasing carb, so you could eat it 3 hours before a workout, and that energy will sustain you throughout the day and during the workout as well. Obviously, you need to eat more than just pasta, but it's an example. Diet is probably one of the most important things. Like, you can't run a car with no petrol. The same as you can't run your muscles and your body without any fuel. Yes, you can eat shit and still go to the gym, but your poor performance is probably going to be arse because you're not giving your body what it actually needs. What it needs is slow releasing and fast releasing carbs. Adequate protein sources from animal-based products, ideally, and this is nothing against vegan products, but most of the time they are not real meat and they're mainly artificial, which is not good for you, and it's just processed chemicals that are made to taste like meat. But if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. However, animal-based products are probably your best bet. Well, they are your best bet because they have essential amino acids within them that your body needs, because it can't manufacture them by itself, so you get them from exterior sources. Another factor with diet as well is when you're cutting and bulking. For example, a lot of people when they bulk, they just think, okay, I'll just eat anything that comes in front of me. I'll just fucking destroy whatever's on my plate and more. No, you shouldn't do that. You should still be as smart as you are on a bulk as you are on a cut. The reason being is because when you're bulking, you are still trying to keep your body fat low. Why would you want to get fat on a bulk? Okay, there's no point. For men, 15% body fat. For women, probably around 18, because women should be higher because of reproductive differences and physiological differences between a male and a female's body. Now, that's a whole different conversation. But essentially, you don't want to get fat on a bulk. You want to maintain a leanish physique. You basically just want to be able to see your abs. That's the best indication, and have visible bicep veins. You don't want to put on too much body fat. So playing around with your carbs, proteins, and fats is important during a bulk just as much as it is on a cut. Now, I'm going to make a whole nother video about that at some point, describing the two, so it makes more sense. But just for the sake of this video, so it doesn't get too long, it's just a simple difference of don't go too fucking crazy, because it can affect you a lot. Hence why strong men and powerlifters just eat anything, because mass moves mass. The more of them there are, the more they will press. Sleep is the next factor I want to go over. The reason being is because it's the time where your body's not doing anything. So think about it. If you've heavily trained that day, your body then has nothing else to do but recover. And while you're asleep, you're obviously not doing anything. You're switched off. So your body can then utilize that time to gain more muscle tissue, gain more strength. You know, obviously it's not going to be instant, but over time, if you're getting adequate sleep, your body's going to have adequate rest. It's then going to be able to recover adequately and be able to perform optimally. So getting enough sleep, usually around 7 to 8 hours, but then again, it depends on your circadian rhythm. Now, a circadian rhythm is just basically every 90 minutes, correct me if I'm wrong. Editor Theo put up on the screen whatever the fuck it actually means. Like proper Google definition, I'm just freeballing right now. But your circadian rhythm basically is a pattern. It's a loop every single sleep cycle. No, sorry, my knowledge is really wrong right now. So basically, a REM cycle is a sleep cycle. So however many REM cycles you get within a night is better. And if you interrupt that REM cycle, you tend to wake up in different moods. Typically, it could depend on the person. So optimizing that, again, with all of this stuff, optimizing, making sure you live for the training, live for the gym. You don't have to be so anal about it. It's just making tiny little tweaks to your already routine, which can then bump your progress up so much. It sounds like I'm asking you to live in a fucking anime training arc, but all I'm asking is for you to just make a slight difference to your routine. It seems so much bigger than it actually is, but in reality, it's so simple, man. Like literally, small little tweaks can go so far. Trust me. And lastly, the fifth and final crucial part to lifting. Have fucking fun. Lift heavy, okay? Have fun with your friends. Do challenges. Try fucking new things. Push yourself. Listen to heavy metal. Listen to Katy Perry. Listen to Rihanna. Have fucking fun. Okay, the gym is not a military camp. It is a place to have fun, a place to express yourself, a place to make yourself feel better after years of feeling like shit. The gym is a place to create a new you. Do not treat it as a fucking military camp. It is a blessing, not a curse, not a chore. To go to the gym, it is a virtue. Yes, fucking cardio might suck. Yes, leg day might suck to an extent because you have to push yourself and train legs. Yes, having a big ass from squatting a lot can be annoying, especially as a guy, because for some reason glutes just grow massively and no gains go to the car. But in the grand scheme of things, just have fucking fun. Just lift heavy weights and have fun, man. I tell you this now, I fucking get excited when I go to the gym. I have fun when I go to the gym. Even if I'm training by myself, I'm having the best time of my life. I'm listening to fucking hardcore Eren Yeager screaming about the rumbling, fucking listening to then a Batman edit, and then Slipknot, Eyeless, Wait and Bleed, like anything. And that goes for anyone. Just have fucking fun, man. But apply yourself. Have fun, but apply yourself. And that's it. This is a proper Theo C. Brown video. I mean, one of the first, I guess, guys. So fucking, we're still niche. We're still niche. One day I'll be sponsored by Gymshark and Young LA. You gotta manifest it. Same as your fucking hell, I can't even speak. I've been talking for too long, bro. The same as your gym games. Never give up. Never stop trying. Keep pushing yourself. And always stay positive, because even when it's hard, stay positive, bro. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep it up.